Hello, and welcome to Camp Chat. I'm Canyonman Raj, along here with Matt, the Southwest Backpacker.
Hi, guys.
And we are coming to you from the Chama Canyon Wilderness in the Santa Fe National Forest here in New Mexico. And as you can see, we got the Chama River flowing right behind us. It's a beautiful sound. I know you'll pick up some of that on the mic, and I hope you can hear us over the river, but that's the kind of noise I don't mind speaking over. It's beautiful.
It's a very good sound.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yep, adds a lot to it. So we thought we'd come down and do this episode of Camp Chat here on Sunday of Labor Day weekend.
Labor Day weekend, once again.
2017. Yeah,
yes.
We're kind of making this an annual trip down here on Labor Day weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm excited to do another Camp Chat.
Got a great weather to be out here and do it. Don't have any wind, and yeah, it's just a remarkable day to be out here on Labor Day weekend with such a gorgeous weather.
Yeah, it's really nice. And, you know, kind of to start off the morning to give you guys, now we're really in a secluded area.
We are
off-grid. Okay, it takes 3 hours to get here from my house. It's an hour and a half paved road. It's an hour and a half dirt road, no matter how hard you push it. And so my cabin is just beyond the cameras over there. I'll show a picture of it here. And we're basically at the end of the road. And we are in the Chama Canyon Wilderness.
We are deep down in the wilderness, absolutely.
Yeah, technically we are in the wilderness. Yeah, it's been a great morning. We got up and we were having coffee, and a flock of turkeys decided to just come walking by, check us out. They weren't scared.
They weren't scared at all. They just seemed to kind of wander off from the side there, and yeah, we were within about, what, 40, 50 feet?
At least. Yeah, they were at least that close.
Yeah, and there was about 4 or 5 of them, I think, that we saw at first, and then they came wandering through, wandered back, and then came through one more time.
Yeah, they did, and they didn't seem scared of us. It almost looked like they've been fed by people before.
That's kind of what you were saying earlier.
The way they were kind of approaching us and looking at us like, well, are you going to feed us? You know, kind of thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly, because normally when I go around wild turkeys, they usually take off pretty quickly. They won't let you get within 100 feet from them usually.
They're very shy.
Yeah.
They don't want anything to do with people. So yeah, that was the way we started today. Then we went out and jumped out and tried to do a little bit of fishing.
Did a little fishing down at the kiddie hole, or at least gave it our best shot.
Gave it our best shot. We did.
So you've said that you've pulled fish out of that spot before in the past, and I know that we've gone down there before and gotten bites before. How many fish do you think you've pulled out of that hole, and what are some of the biggest ones you've caught out of there?
Well, for a little perspective, I've been fishing in that fishing hole for 34 years.
Okay.
That's how long I've been coming up here. And so number of fish, a lot. We've pulled a lot of fish out of there. We've pulled out some nice fish, German browns, nice rainbows. I think someone has even caught a walleye out of there before, and even some catfish have come out of that hole before. Yeah, there's been a lot of big fish. Recently, the fishing just has not been as good.
Hasn't been as good.
Yeah, it's just, one of those things.
Well, and I know that this section of the Rio Chama River, they do a lot of whitewater rafting. And so what you were telling me earlier, I guess, is that they open up the water during the weekend to let the rafters kind of come down. And then during the week, I think they turn it down just a little bit.
Yeah, they do. It depends on how much water is in El Vado, how long they leave it running, but they try to use this as a national recreational area for the rafters. So, during the week, they might drop the water flows down to maybe 300 cubic feet a second, which is not enough to raft in. But we do live in the desert, so there's no sense in letting all that water go.
Right.
But on the weekends, they'll turn it up to about 600. Then the rafters use it for a few days, and then they drop it back down. And I think the history of that repeating itself over and over every weekend has really hurt the fish population here. And it's hard because we used to catch a lot of fish. We used to walk down here and catch fish, from here on up, one hole after another. now you can't even walk down to the river and catch one fish.
Sure.
So I've seen it change a lot over the years.
Well, I guess it's good for the rafters, but unfortunate for the property owners. And speaking of property owner, of course, you did mention that this is the Rio Chama Wilderness, and in a wilderness section, you're not supposed to bring vehicles and whatnot, but you guys have a cabin down here, and we were able to actually bring a truck down here.
Right.
Tell us a little bit about the history of your cabin and sort of this area out here and how you guys obtained it.
Well, the way we picked it up is I had a good friend 34 years ago. He was a realtor, and he knew of a listing that was coming across his desk, be listed in a few days, and we both decided to drive out, take a look at it, just to get out in the mountains more than anything, and got here. Man, I fell in love with the place. Brought my dad out and mom out, and they also fell in love with it, so we kind of partnered up and managed to scoop it off the market before it really actually even hit the market. And so we picked it up at a good buy, and the thing was, back then, it was just Santa Fe National Forest boundaries around this private property that we have. And then in the late 80s, Congress declared this section of the Chama River a National Wild and Scenic Wilderness Area. Which technically you can't have houses, you can't drive into. Well, we were grandfathered in, and so we were allowed to drive into the wilderness to get to our property, and we're fortunate that they just didn't take it away from us.
Yes. Yes.
And so we can't do any improvements on the roads. So the road, as you've seen, is white knuckle, scary, nasty. Very
gnarly road coming down. I mean, I was passenger and I was sitting there holding on to the side of the truck as we were going down. Pretty gnarly stuff.
It's scary. One of the biggest things that scares me is all the sharp rocks is cutting a tire.
Right.
Because if you do that, you can't, there's no place on that road to change a tire. You keep on going till you can find a flat spot, and they're far and few in between, you know?
Sure. And you've always got that chance of wrecking a rim on the way down if the tire's flat.
Right. Oh yeah.
It's a pretty gnarly road.
And I've been there and done that twice. I've been in that situation twice where I've had tires cut and have to pull in a bad spot and change a tire that was no fun doing. You know, I guess that's just a chance you take.
Sure. So yeah, I've been down here with you before, and we've done a lot of fishing along the Rio Chama here. We've also gone up to the dinosaur track area, which you've had in some of your other videos.
Right.
There's just a lot of things to see out here and a lot of places to go. They've got Savoya Canyon to the south of us. Yeah, there's just a lot to see. You've got a gold mine that's up just beyond the cameras here. Tell us a little bit about the gold mine.
That is the Waiko gold mine, and the only reason I know it's the Waiko gold mine is because I actually found some of the permits that were, or what do you call them?
The claim.
The claim, exactly. Thank you. The claims that are nailed to the tree in a little Prince Albert tobacco can. And we opened it up, and sure enough, it had the information. And that information was posted on that tree, I think, back in 1963.
Okay.
And that's when they were legally mining the area. And it is somewhat of a strip mine. And years ago, there used to be a little lean-to, and there was a little stove. And over the years, you know, it's kind of collapsed and fallen apart. But you can still walk up there and see a lot of the history. There's still some of the washboards that they used, and a lot of the tailings that they've moved aside. And so, yeah, that's another fascinating place to. And that's the thing you mentioned. It is just this particular area is so rich in just nature. I mean, you can walk any direction and find something new. You can go fishing. You can go picture taking of the animals. We have deer and elk that come out to the front of the house.
Just very diverse section of land, and you can do quite a bit out here.
Yeah, it is. And you know, you mentioned rafting, and I've had an opportunity to raft the river.
Yes.
I've done it once in the summertime, and in the wintertime, I have also floated a few times. A longtime friend of mine, Dale Stoliker, who is an eagle watcher, convinced me that wintertime is the best time to float the Chama River.
Okay.
Yes, indeed.
Sounds cold.
Well, at one night it got down to 15 below.
15 below zero.
15 below in a summer cabin. And yes, it was cold. Yeah, I'll be the first one to admit, but we were prepared for it, like always.
Okay.
You know, and we knew it was going to get cold, and so we floated the river, and floating the river during the winter time like that gives you a whole different perspective.
Sure.
You know, the animals have not been disturbed in several months, and they're not afraid of you. They're down by the river. Nothing runs from you, and when you float the river in the wintertime, that's also a wintering ground for the golden eagles, bald eagles, excuse me.
Sure.
And so Dale wants to come down and count as many bald eagles as he can, and we've counted as many as 35 to 40 during this 20-mile stretch between El Vado Lake and the get-out point just above Albuquerque by the monastery. And if you're familiar with the river, you know where that is. But it's spectacular. You know, every couple miles you see eagles, one right after the other, and that's a whole different way to look at it in the wintertime.
I bet the wintertime experience down here is really, really cool.
Right. And the only differences between the wintertime and the summertime experience is the wintertime experience, you do not get wet. You do not get wet.
Don't want to get wet.
You get wet, you will die.
Yeah.
And I'm serious. You'll freeze to death.
That would be one of my biggest fears and concerns. I think paddling the Rio Chama in the wintertime would be the possibility of getting wet and having to quickly dry out or make a fire, possibly go into hypothermia.
Well, getting wet is not an option. I mean, it really isn't. I mean, if you get wet, you're in trouble.
You're going to be in big trouble.
You're in trouble unless you can knock out a quick fire, which I know Matt, the Southwest Backpacker, is famous for knocking out quick fires, so I'm sure you would do all right.
Thank you.
But yeah, we wanted to do this episode of Camp Chat out here and just kind of show you my backyard of my second home. And this is it.
I love it, and thank you once again for inviting me out to your cabin and for allowing me to spend the weekend out here in this wonderful country.
You're always welcome. Yeah, we like to come out, and this is just a good place to relax, especially after hiking almost 20 miles last weekend.
Yes.
It was nice to come into a wilderness area where we didn't have to carry our gear.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah,
it feels good not to have a bunch of weight on us this time, and just to be able to sit back and relax and have a cold one and do some fishing and And I have a question for you. After being out on the trail for 5 days and 4 nights last weekend, how was your leg? How are you doing? Leg did well. Did well. I was moving just a little bit slower than I was before the injury, but that was to be expected.
Then I could keep up with him.
Well, and I think between Roger and myself, we found a really good pace, and we managed to get up back to the area in record time, even better than the last time that we went up there before my injury.
Right, so, and we were also walking in the rain this latest time too.
We were. We got a little bit of rain. It was the steady drizzle, but all day long. But it felt wonderful not to be out in the blazing sun, and it gave us some nice relief to the temperatures. And my leg held up just fine. And I'd say that I'm well on the mend. So,
excellent. Well, it looked like to me you were doing okay.
I felt good. There's still a little bit of stiffness in there, and who knows if it'll ever go away. But here again, I count my blessings. I feel fortunate that I can still put on the backpack and get out and go backpacking, and to be able to share it with you guys on my YouTube channel and with Canyonman Raj on his channel as well.
Well, I felt good about last backpack trip because I felt like we finally conquered our goal and made it to the Continental Divide Trail, and that was just really cool. And after walking away from that, I had a tear in my eye because that was a bucket list of mine for a long time, and to finally make it after several years of being so close, I was a happy camper.
I was glad that we were finally able to make it and reach it up there. I could tell that you were happy, and
cheers.
I got to give a cheers to that. That was an amazing accomplishment, and I'm glad that we pulled it off safely. We think Mother Nature had it against us for a little bit. We conquered her. Yes, we did. We conquered her. I'm not going to get too cocky with Mother Nature because I might get struck down by lightning or something. But anyway, well, I think, is there anything else you'd like to add to Camp Chat, Matt? No, other than I appreciate you once again inviting me out here to your cabin. I've had a wonderful weekend spending time with you out here, and the fellowship has been great. So thank you once
it's
again.
always fun. Yeah. Well, good then. I'm glad you had a good time.
Yes.
I've had a great time. I wanted to share some of my backyard with my viewers and anybody else who'd like to watch. I want to say thank you for watching Camp Chat. And if you like what you see, hit the like button. Questions and comments, leave them down below. Me and Matt will both get them.
Absolutely.
And
don't forget to subscribe on the subscribe button.
if you're not a subscriber, please subscribe. We have a lot of cool stuff to offer.
Absolutely.
We're just getting started.
We're trying to get Canyon Man to 100 subscribers, so let's help him out.
We're working on it.
Absolutely.
Thank you for watching.